My name is Dr. Taddy Blecher. I'm the CEO and co-founder of the Maharishi Invincibility Institute, and we're located in Johannesburg, South Africa as our head office, and 12 other locations across 5 countries. I love my work. I get up every single day, and I have done for the last 29 years with absolute vitality and joy, and that doesn't mean it's always easy. It's often very hard. But I love it because it works and it changes lives, and we bring people out of poverty, and 90% of our graduates within 3 to 5 years after finishing from our institution are in the middle class, in the formal definition of the middle class in South Africa. So our organization's mission is offering world-leading education for all. World-leading because we don't just want to be world-class, we want to be ahead of what people are doing around the world, and want to make this available to anybody, irrespective of your family, financial situation. So we've worked with now 24,000 young people from marginalized backgrounds, and I'll tell you more about them. But our goal is to educate 100,000 young leaders for sub-Saharan Africa. We've got an incredibly exciting project with the Rising Tide Foundation. We call it Education Town. So anybody in the UK would know Oxford University, Cambridge University. In the US, they'd know places like Harvard, Columbia University, MIT. So often you get these things that start off as like a little college, turns into a university, but that university spins into a whole kind of town, and that town starts to generate enormous economic activity, develops intellectual property, all kinds of new technologies, etc. That's exactly what we're working on with RTF for the Johannesburg city centre. The old city, which was the old business district, used to be 40% of the South African economy. Now it's an absolute shell of what it used to be. Why? Because big business saw that there was a lot of crime, violence, their clients didn't want to go into the city, so they moved north for good reason. But it's left a vacuum or void. There's about 1.5 million square meters of office space, and a lot of that is empty. And so our vision is to build this greatest education town for the whole of Africa, the greatest education hub in Africa, which then can be a place of hope for young people, accessible to everybody, a place of entrepreneurship and jobs, a place of safety and light, and this is what we're working to do with RTF. So our work's all about giving people skills and developing their potential, which is not only about knowledge. Knowledge is one thing. So our students can get degrees, they can get international certifications, they can get all these industry qualifications, they can get all the kind of legal compliance qualifications. So if they're going to go into investment banking, or they're going to go into insurance or things like that, then there's a whole bunch of certifications that they need. So they get knowledge, but it's not enough. We give them a lot of skills and intensive skills training. It's also not enough. It's ultimately metacognition, teaching people how to learn at high speed, about passion, about leadership, about love. It's about respect. It's about operating in a fast-changing world, and we call that mastery. So ultimately, we're training our students to be masters. So in every single field, and we're going for cutting-edge, difficult field. So we will bring in people who've never touched a computer, who are virtually illiterate, and we'll train them to be a top cybersecurity analyst. We'll train them to be a cloud engineer. They'll become like a top person in the insurance sector, an investment banker, stockbroker, all this type of thing. And then with these skills, as I was mentioning, we have a 95% job placement rate. These individuals get into quality jobs, sustainable jobs. They bring their families out of poverty. They live lives of dignity. They can make their own choices. 95% of them have been unemployed before they come to, it's actually closer to 98%. We've got refugees and asylum seekers as well from 17 countries. So they're stuck, they cannot go to public universities, etc. They're just excluded from the economy. So we work with people who are marginalized and excluded from the economy and help give them agency so that they truly can change their lives and the lives of their families, which they do. So one guy, for example, phoned me up 6 years ago. It was Christmas Day. He said, "Sir, I just want to phone you on Christmas to say thank you. I normally never answer my phone on, if I don't know who's calling me." Turned out I just answered. It was Christmas, and he said, "Sir, I just want to tell you saved my life." And I said, "Why? Tell me your story." He tells me he's from a family of there's 12 siblings and cousins brought up by grandmother on a pension of about, in those days it was about $70 per month, bringing up all these children, etc. Finished high school, ended up getting into all the bad things you can imagine, going from odd job to odd job, like a gardener, like cleaning people's gardens, worked as a taxi assistant. He was earning $30 a month, US dollars a month was his salary. So in a year, what is that? That's like $360 in a year. In an entire year, that's what he earned. So he phoned me up to tell me that he's now earning the equivalent of 200,000 US dollars. Salary has gone up, 400, 600 times what he was earning. Looks after his whole family. He's putting many of his brothers and sisters and cousins through school and university. One of thousands and thousands of stories like this. So 21,000 people who've taken agency, who are successful, they're in the economy, and they're not just Me Too's. These are young people who are hungry, they are very hardworking, they are adding massive value, they are learning at high speed, and they're kicking butt. I mean, they're really doing well. Private sector solutions, and we regard ourselves as a private sector solution, even though we're a non-profit, we run like a business. They're way more effective because they deal with reality. I mean, they deal with reality of how do you find resources to pay salaries and electricity and water and books and food and all this kind of thing. They have to deal with long-term sustainability, and I'm very proud to say that even though we don't get a cent from government and our students only pay $11 a month, we are the first university that we know of in the world that is largely operationally self-funding. So the future of our organization is firstly to put between $500 billion to $1 trillion back into the hands of marginalized families, not through donations, not through handouts, not through aid, but through giving young people a hand up that through education and skills development and developing their inner potential, they can follow their own dreams and become successful and add value to the economy. And we want to do that through ultimately being in at least 10 countries within the next decade. We want to build this university town or this education town in the Johannesburg city centre to 100,000 students per year between ourselves and crowding in other education institutions. And we hope to reinvent higher education, that higher education isn't only about learning stuff and memorizing it and writing exams, but it's about bringing out greatness in the human being. And for that, we are doing a global breakthrough of something called consciousness-based education, where we develop people right from the level of being. So we use things like meditation every day and yoga. We do all kinds of methodologies in nature, and it's all about a young person firstly dealing with their stress and their trauma, their post-traumatic stress, depression, etc., becoming empowered and learning to love themselves, respect themselves and other people, and then to get hungry and angry about changing the world and changing their own world and going out there and being able to create new stuff. Because if one says how many jobs are available, no, there's not enough jobs. But if one says how many opportunities are available, there's infinite number of opportunities.